The first thing that popped into my mind was music, actually. I'm a big fan of Indian music, probably because I grew up a fan of the Beatles, who, incorporated so much great Indian music, and my fandom went from there. I know this is probably a cliche to say Ravi Shankar, but it's true. I do put on his music pretty often, and it's just incredible.
Aishwarya Rai.
She's an actress, right?
Freida Pinto.
Right, she was in Slumdog Millionaire, right?
Priyanka Chopra Jonas.
Yeah, I know her too. Yeah, she's I forget the name of the show that she's in, but I can think of her face. What do I think of when it comes to Christopher Nolan? Tea, drinking tea.
Your fans in India have watched the trailer of Mr. Corman and absolutely loved it because it comes across as a dark mood comedy where you tap into your millennial language. Now that is really interesting.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, well, this is a show that's about a person who has a lot to be grateful for and a good heart, and he does his best to be happy, but has trouble being happy 100% of the time. And I relate to that. I have so much to be grateful for, but sometimes my brain does go to dark places and I don't want it to. And I try to tell it, hey, brain, don't do that. You have so much to be grateful for. You shouldn't feel bad. But, my brain doesn't always listen to me. And, that's Mr. Corman for you.
I'm having anxiety or panic or something, both.
What's the difference?
I'm gonna need a sub for today.
What's bothering you?
Everything.
It just feels like I blew the whole thing, like I suck as a person.
You're not entitled to a perfect partner or a perfect life.
Right. Now, you just talked about, the real instance when such a clash happens. What, according to you, should people do when they are in a similar situation?
Well, I think one of the most important things to do is to talk about it. Sounds simple, but it can be hard. I think oftentimes when we feel anxious, we're worried about talking about it. We're worried that if we talk about it, other people will think that we're complaining or whining, or that we're a problem. And I know I've spoken to doctors of neuropsychology about this, who say, like, one of the most important things is that we all recognize this is normal, and it's good to talk about it. That's oftentimes the best way to move forward and feel better, is just got to reach out and tell people how you're feeling.
Everything is a complete disaster.
You've had the privilege of expecting everything to just work out. Now that you're faced with some adversity, it could feel like the end of the world.
You want to stop feeling like you're feeling? What about this weighted blanket?
It costs $250.
We can make our own version.
You can't make your own version.
You feeling less anxious?
No, I'm really not.
Now, let us know about the first thought that comes to your mind each time you hear of these things. And the first is Josh Corman.
Josh Corman. What do I think of? A heart. I think he's got a good heart. Core is an ancient word for heart.
India.
India. I think of, well, what do I think of? The first thing that popped into my mind was music, actually. I'm a big fan of Indian music, probably because I grew up a fan of the Beatles, who, incorporated so much great Indian music, and my fandom went from there.
So is there any musician or singer from India that you follow in particular?
I mean, I know this is probably a cliche to say Ravi Shankar, but it's true. I do put on his music pretty often, and it's just incredible.
Bollywood?
Yeah, Bollywood. I could not claim to be an expert in Bollywood. That's a genre in filmmaking that I want to know more about and haven't learned enough about it.
Aishwarya Rai.
She's an actress, right?
Freida Pinto.
Right. She was in Slumdog Millionaire, right?
Priyanka Chopra Jonas.
Yeah, I know her too. Yeah, she's I forget the name of the show that she's in, but I can think of her face. This is hard. I tend to be pretty out of touch with pop culture, I must admit.
Christopher Nolan.
What do I think of when it comes to Christopher Nolan? Tea. Drinking tea.
Steven Spielberg.
Ah, um, I think of him setting up a camera. He's brilliant to watch. You know, he gets right behind the camera and sets it up.
And, is there any actor you follow and get inspired by?
How about Donald Glover? I find him incredibly inspiring as an artist, as a as an actor, as a musician and a writer. I think he's pretty brilliant.
Thank you for joining us and giving us your time.
Great to meet you. Thanks so much.